Today we'll be designing and animating a chat box like this one in Figma using component variants, auto layouts, and smart animate. Let's get into it.
I am the one that optimum. I got the drum, I got the drop on them. I got the lock, stock, and barrel on top of them. I got the chopper for the block, they knocking off.
We have a chat box that looks just like the one we saw. First, what we're doing is designing it, we'll animate it, put it in the site, and then prototype it so that it looks just like what we are designing. So I'll be doing this from scratch so that we all get an idea how it was done. First of all, I like to bring in icons. So let's steal some icons. Our two major icons are this chat icon and this close icon. So let's copy them by pressing alternate for Windows and option for Mac. So I've made copies of these, and these are the icons right here. Let's put all of them in the same hierarchy like so. So what we want to do now is create a box that will expand or minimize according to how we interact with it. When this is closed, it should show as a box, but when this is open like so, it should show as a chat box that also has the close button or icon. So let's design our chat box. What we want to do first of all is decide how that conversation is going to be and what look and feel we want to go for. So let's first design the chat box. So I'm going to use a text component I already have here by pressing alternate 2 to access my component stack here, and then I'm going to press text. I'm going to type text. So in here we have a couple of texts. So let me see which one do I want to use. Let's try this one. Over here we have a generic text. What do we want to call it? Let's just copy the details from here and paste it here, and then rename it to, let's change. We can either do that here, or sometimes there's a text box that we can type that in here. Okay, so we don't want it looking like this. We have to resize. Then we'll click on this. Because it is part of an auto layout, we can have it expand to fill that, and we could also make it such that the bounding box holds the content. I'm going to also do that for the external bounding box. Alright, so we also want to have this icon that shows the person that is chatting. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here, or we could make our own. So let me show you how I made that. I'm going to make a copy of this and rename it to robots, which is in this case RB. We're going to make sure that we resize this to 40 by 40. So I'm going to put that there, 40 by 40. Once we have that there, we can have this expand to fit that box, and then make this the middle. Then we're going to give this a color. What color are we putting? Let's use this ribbon blue, and let's give it a 20 for bounding box. Now we have a perfect circle. This, let's center align this. Yeah, now it looks more presentable. We're going to give this a background of, what's the color here? Let me peep. I'll copy the X value in here. We'll give it a fill and then paste that value. Press enter. So we have that light, very light blue. Something is missing, the curvature that we have here. So we're going to give this that curvature. Because we'll just do it by hand. So I'm just going to give it 10 pixels. But we want one side to be sharp, so it looks as if it's this person that is saying this. We're going to break it out, have independent corners. So the way it works is this first value is for the top left hand side, the second value is for the top right hand side. You know, your normal CSS. The third value is for the bottom right hand side, and the fourth value is for the bottom left hand side. We're going to reduce this to 0. Once we press enter, you'll see that that side is now sharp inside this frame. Let me open the layer so that we see what we're working with. We are going to press Ctrl B here, or we can come here and change it from bold to regular. Now I'm going to make a copy of this. Welcome to be. And then the next message could be, how can I help you today? So because we set the parameters to hug and then the border to also hug, as we type, the box will expand, right? Will expand according to content. The content. I'm going to press in Shift A as I've selected these two to put them in an auto layout. Automatically, Figma will look at the position of the two boxes and fit them in an auto layout. I want to reduce the space between these two boxes, so I've reduced that to 10. I could say, welcome Mutebe, it's a beautiful day. Tap, tap, tap. It's a beautiful day. May I help you today? So we can see that it expands naturally. And let's put a question mark right here. Now, since we have this, we're going to put this in another auto layout. We'll select this and select this auto layout and put them in another auto layout. I'm going to make a copy of them. So I'm going to call this one robot and call this me. Anything from the robot should be coming from the left hand side, and anything from me should be coming from the right hand side. So I'm going to select these two and change this parameter. Remember we said that this represents top left hand side, but we want it to come from the top right hand side. So we're going to reduce the top right hand side to 0, making it sharp, and then bring that curvature back to the top left hand side. So we are changing it to 10 over here and press enter. So it looks like it's coming from the right hand side. We're also going to press the right cursor on our keyboard here to move this. I'm going to name this to me, and I'm going to change the color of these boxes so that it is very obvious who is speaking whenever anyone is speaking. So I'm going to select these two boxes. Let's find the color that, let's go with the Shaka blue. Change this to that color over there, very light blue. So I'm going to copy that color and place it here. I'm going to break this out, place it here. Then I'm going to give this guy a stroke. Let's use this tracker. It won't look so good at the beginning because we're learning. We will beautify it as we go on. Or better yet, we'll change the text to white. Yeah, good. So now we want to put these two in a box. I don't just want to create a frame and then just border them. But we could do that. There are several ways we could do it. We'll press F on the keyboard, click on the canvas, and drag over the two of them. It will create a white frame naturally that will now border the two of them. So we can see that there is a frame there. Because of this color, this might not be very visible, so I'm going to change this to white. So it looks like RB said, hello, welcome, and then I said this. So I'm going to copy this message and paste it here. I have a request. Here I'm going to make it just one box for now. Right? Our aim was to create this box and animate it. So we won't really care too much about going down to the deepest details. Well, one more thing I want to add is the timestamp. So I'm going to press Ctrl D on my keyboard. Okay, so to make this neat, let's click on this frame and press Shift A to make it an auto layout. What it will do is make sure that there is always a constant space between the content that we are creating. I'm reducing the space between the content to 20 pixels, and I'm going to add a timestamp. So I'm going to select these two and duplicate them, and then I'm going to remove their, by selecting the two of them, I'm going to just quickly add a default border and then remove that border so that there is no border. Let me know in the comments if I'm being too fast, and then I'll make sure that the next one is a little slower. We're going to reduce our padding here. The padding is the space around the content. So I'm going to reduce that to 5 all around. How I did that is I pressed Command on Mac or Control on Windows and then clicked this area here. So if you click on either of them while clicking holding down Command, it will put that value you want to put inside all of them. So that will be the command value, the padding value for all of them. But there's an issue, it is not applying them. So let's try them one by one. 5, enter, okay. And then I'm going to do that here again. 5, enter. Now the timestamp, let's see. Let's just peep this one. Let me copy this timestamp. You'll notice that the font here is SF Pro Display, and the font over here is Poppins. Now what we need is the content, but we don't want to carry the font along. So if we do it the normal way, if we paste, we do Control or and then we paste, it will paste it with that Poppins font. But no, I want SF Pro Display. So what we are going to do is, as we have selected this, we'll press Control Shift on Windows or Command Shift on Mac and then press V. What is to do is to paste the content and still keep my current font family. This is a little big, so what I'm going to do is reduce it to 12 pixels. That shows the time that this message was sent. I'm going to copy that and paste it here too, and delete this. So that's the timestamp here too. Maybe I'm going to move that to the right. Let me leave it on the left. Now you will notice that there is an issue here. It's going to be hard to recognize the content that we are seeing. So what I'm going to do is click on these two and stretch them a bit. Then I'm going to come to this box and change its alignment from left to right, as this one is on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now reduce them such that both their content are going to be on the same line, but the person that is talking will have different positions. So for example, in this case, I am on the right and the robot is on the left, to show that they have different positions. This is the third party, this is the person I am talking to, and this is me. Now let's beautify this a bit. We'll come here and I'll put the border radius at, let's see, up the top of my head, 20 pixels. Yeah, that looks a bit better. And let's reduce the padding to say 20 pixels also. Right, so I think we can get away with 15 pixels. Yeah, great. I think it's coming together. And let's also reduce this to let's see, 20 pixels. Let's take this to 10 pixels. So the next thing we want to do is add the chat area. If I take a copy of this, you will see that the chat area consists of a chat box, a paperclip, and a small paper jet for the send button. I will be using these two, and we'll just create this. Outside this, we'll be creating this outside of this. So let's just be pixel keeping as we go along. First of all, what I want to do is create the input box. So we already have boxes here, right? We could as well just copy one of these guys in here. What's our font size here? 14. Our font size here is 14 also, but this is 12, so we're going to increase this back to 14. Remember that we had our bounding box here at 5 pixels. Maybe we'll leave that a bit for now. We're also going to bring these two guys, copy them out here. By the way, I didn't create these icons, so I'm just copying and using them. What we have now is our input area or text box, and we're going to copy this and paste it here. Remember how we pasted before? We pressed Ctrl Shift or Command Shift and then V, and then pasted the content, and that keeps the font together. What we are now going to do is press Shift and select everything, then press Ctrl A to put them in an auto layout. We're going to give it a boundary, a fill, and our fill today is going to be white. Padding here is 15, so we're going to give it the same padding here, 15. And our padding over here, we could just do 5. Then we're going to make it such that this one, no matter what happens, it can spread and contain any space. So we're going to change it from fixed to fill. What that means is, if I were to take this here now, this is a currently fixed width of 35. If I change this to fill container, it means that it will always attempt to fill whatever container it is in. I hope that is clear. Let me know if it wasn't so clear in the comments below. And I'm also going to make it fill here and expand this. So because we have not typed yet, we want it to have a color that looks that looks less obvious till we start typing. So instead of a fill of 0000, which is completely black, let's go and look for a color that is not so deep. Let's use this gray 3. Yeah, that's subtle, but I don't know if it is subtle enough. I don't think it is subtle enough. So let's go for gray 4. It now looks like, and let's center align this guy. So it now looks like something that you can interact with, but it is not typed already. Now that we have this, we want to place it inside here, inside this area. So we're going to drag it into this area. Well, it's not really behaving itself because it's trying to fit it into these boxes, right? And we don't want that. So there are a few ways we can go about it. You can drag it and then press Command or Control on your keyboard as we reach this box, and then we'll release our mouse. Once we release it, it pastes in there. Now there's an issue. You will notice that when we pasted it, because our box here is trying to hug the contents that is inside, and our box over here has a fixed width, its size will not be changed, but our container size will change. And in cases where we are working with a fixed width or a limited width, we will have to make it such that this is priority, the width of this is priority over the width of this. So what we're going to do is come and select this box and change this from fixed to fill container. You will see that it has adjusted itself, so it will continue to be wide and fit that space we have allowed for it inside that container, no matter how wide or slim that container is. So for example, we are reducing this container's width and it's still trying to keep in line with that container's width. So I'm also going to make these guys the same, fill container width, and then I'm going to change that container width to 370 pixels. What we want to do now is give it a heading, maybe something that looks like this. So we're going to quickly design that. And in this case, since we are trying to go for this look or this look here, we're going to create something for it. So for let's see, let's go find some inspiration. I could make it simple or complex. I think we should go with simple today. So we'll use this for our reference points, and we have this blue. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fit it in an auto layer by pressing Shift A, expand that, and then give it a fill of the same blue that is in there, that shaka blue. And then we're going to drag that in here, and then we'll press Command once again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to expand it kind of to fill that container. It doesn't quite look like what we want it to do yet. So what we are going to do is, remember in this container we have our padding here as 15 for the sides and then 20 for the top and bottom. What we are going to do is we're going to drop everything to 0. And automatically it's in some ways it looks better, and in some ways it looks worse. So it looks better for this top and bottom, but it doesn't look so good for this middle content. So we're going to select the two of them and put them in their own auto layout. And as we have done that, we're going to give the auto layout its own padding of 15 pixels, as we have given this and this, as we'll be giving these two 15 pixels, so that no matter what, I'm going to press Shift R here to bring up the ruler. If we drag a line here, you'll see that they're all on the same line. So that's the idea. I'm going to reduce this guy. Actually, we really don't need this guy right now, so I'm going to take it out. I'm just going to reduce this. I'm going to reduce this to 40 pixels. And reduce this guy to, it's already on 50, so I'm going to reduce the size of these icons. Just pixel picking. Do some, reduce these guys. Wow, that's big. Alright, so I'm going to also reduce the padding here to about 10 pixels. Right. Also, I'm going to reduce this because it's looking a little big and ugly. I can always make it more beautiful later. So our chat box is coming together, right? We're going to go now to add our icons. But before we do that, we are going to create our components. We already have our chat box. Let's name it chat box. Over here. What we're going to do now is add the icon below it. This icon. Let's copy that and take it here. We want it to be here, so that when we click this guy here, it will expand to this guy. And when we click this guy here, it will collapse to this guy. So we're going to select this and this and press Shift A to bring them into their own auto layout. And we're going to come here, and we can see that because the two of them were on the same line on the right hand side, it has automatically put them on that line. So we're going to create a component by pressing Ctrl Alternate K for Windows or Command Option K for Mac. Alternatively, we can select the frame name. We can put our cursor on the frame name, right click and go and click Create Component. Once we create components, we will see that it becomes, let me undo that. It goes from this auto layout icon to this 4-diamond icon, and it's also purple. So wherever you see purple, you know that that's a component. The reason we create components is so that we can make multiple copies of things. We can put it in different places, and then we don't have to do the same thing over and over again. So for example, if I wanted to change this color here to this gradient, I wouldn't have to go and change it for these guys individually. You can see that as we did that here, they all updated here. Also, if I were to change the background here to maybe this gray here, you can see it affected this gray, but it didn't affect this because this is a child component. But if I were to change this guy here to, for example, this light blue, it would affect the one whose background I didn't change. Let's undo that. So that's a brief explanation of how components work. I'm just going to leave this here so that I get an idea how good or bad it looks. Moving on. So this is the component we created, and I'm going to name that chat box. What we want to do is create another component, or let's move this away, or create a variant of that component. By variant, I mean another version of that component, because we're going to animate it from one variant to another variant. Case in point, we're going to be animating from this to this. So what we are going to do is come over here to properties and add plus and select variant. What that does for us is puts it in a box where we can now play around with it. We're going to click this plus icon here to add a variant, and automatically creates another version of this. I don't want them to be up and down. So I'm going to click on this chat box variant and press Shift A to put them in an auto layout, and then I'm going to change the auto layout to left and right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, replace it with the chat box. I'm going to delete this one. This is where I'm going to start animating. So if you press Shift E on your keyboard for both Windows and Mac, or you come over here to the top right hand side and click prototype, the interface will be such that you can now start to drag. You will see hotspots that you can drag, and then I think they're called quick whips or something. If you know the name, comment below. So what we have done here, I'm going to undo this so that we're on track. We want to do it such that when we click on this, it connects to that. But I think we are getting ahead of ourselves. Let's first control this environment. First, what I want to do is reduce the size of these circles. I'm going to come back here and reduce these to 30, 30. And then we're going to click and then change the size of the text inside till they are side by side. Let's see. I think our padding is a little too big, so we're going to change our padding here to 5. Yes, so we're good. And stop making it bold. We don't want this box to show, but when we want it to become a chat box, we want it to gracefully animate and come out and show us this. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it such that this guy fills the container and then also fills this container here. The width over here is 209, so we're going to apply that to this here. So we're going to type 292 and it will come back to that size. The reason why I'm doing that is so that by the time I start to reduce this size here, you see how that is going. It will conform. We're going to set the alignment here to bottom, so that as I reduce it, instead of going up, it will come down. So I'm going to reduce and reduce, and we're going to bring these two to here. So we're going to keep reducing till we have this. We're going to also drag into here like so, such that our width and height are 60 by 60, but we can see that we can still see a little bit of this. So what we're going to do is come over here and click content. So anything that is outside will not show within this place. What we also want to do is name our properties. By properties, I mean the properties of this component. The first property here is just name property. It can have different, you can have different properties depending on the type of variant you have. We'll cover more on that in a later date. We want to name this property expanded. You can either click one component or you can click the whole component box. Then we want to name the individual properties. So the first one, instead of calling it default, we're going to call it false. False meaning that it is not expanded. And we're going to call the second one true. True meaning that it's truly expanded. Now, what this does is something called boolean values. So for example, if I press option or alternate on my keyboard and dragged this out, it has created a copy of this. Because I named one value true and another value false, it has created a switch for it. It's called the boolean value. So if I named them on and off, or true and false, or yes and no, those are boolean values, which means that they are like word and opposite. They either exist in a 1 or a 0. They only exist in two states: a yes or a no, a false or a true, and on or off. And what that does is if I flick this switch off, it changes to this guy. And if I flick this switch on, change to that guy. To show you that it is doing exactly what we designed it to do, as it is here and I click here, this means take me to the main component. Once I click it, it will take me to this component. And we can go back to that instance. If I flick it to come here, and I tell it to take me to its component, it will take me to this small one. I can also click here to go back to it, and then I'm going to undo that. Now it's time to animate. I'm going to click on this button. I'm going to press Shift E on my keyboard, or I'm going to come here to the prototype tab and drag my quick whip to the body of the next component. Now what we want to do is say that on click, when I click it, it should change to expanded positive. This, my type of animation should be a smart animate, and the way I want it to move is gracefully. I want it to gently move in and move out, which is ease out, but I want it to ease in and ease out. I also want this to do the same. So currently it's trying to behave like it's within this guy state, and I don't want that. So I'm going to drag it into this guy. Better yet, I'm going to delete that so that we see how it was done. Either we can reset this or we remove it entirely. Either way, it still works. What we're going to do is click on this guy. I'm going to move this. We're going to drag it to this guy, so that when we click on it, it's going to change to this too. It remembers the type of animation we used last time and how we want the animation to behave. This 300 means that it's from the start of the animation to the finish of the animation. That's when you move from here to here. It should take 0.3 seconds or 300 milliseconds to do the animation from here to here. Let us quickly experiment. I'm going to press F on my keyboard and yeah, desktop, MacBook Pro 16. I'm going to drag that over here, and we're going to drag this over here. Let's give that a dark color. Yeah, this is dark enough. And then we're going to press Shift space on our keyboard so that we can preview it. We'll try and preview it and see that we are on the right track. This is where it will normally be on the page. Once I press X, it should go small, and once I press, it should go big. What we are doing is trying to see whether our experiment is working. So let me properly position it. And why it is going up and down is because of its current position in this frame. So what we want to do is condition it to always stay in this position. So let's try it again. You can see that it is conforming, it is behaving itself according to how we designed it. I think we are almost there. Yeah, so basically there actually. Let's just go back. Or by default on any website, we would normally see it as its smaller position. So let's just put a text here and say welcome. Yeah, so there's something missing. The box we have here, we don't quite have it over there. So let's fix that. Because we have clipped this content, our shadow, let me just make this background brighter. Alright, so let's come here. We see that there is a shadow here on this button and it's shining through. But there's also a shadow here. What we can do in the meantime is come here in the frame and give it that 20 that the other one has. That way it looks as attractive as the other one, and then we can come and preview it again and we can see. So instead of just the button in this case having that, so we're going to also snatch that shadow from this guy and paste the shadow on the frame itself so that both of them have the same shadow when we expand. So same shadow, same shadow. We can of course come in and then continue to tweak and that will take a long time. I'm just going to leave this for now. We get the idea. So let's just go grab something interesting like what we have over here. Alright, and put some content in here. It still looks very boring, and we could of course put in some. Okay, let's actually be interesting. Let's drag this here, delete this, call up a picture. Let's wake up some splash, plugins and splash. That'll take a second while that is cooking. I'm gonna auto layout this guy, position it properly, bring this guy forward. Okay, so we have on splash. It's coming up. Let's put in something minimalist. It's an interesting minimalist. Okay. Oh, cool. I'm going to give that guy a border of 30. So now that we have that guy, yeah, this is more like it. So once we click this guy, interesting, it's not supposed to be behind. So let's go and sort out that issue. First of all, we're going to set this to fix. Means that it's going to be above everything else. Let's try that again. Great. I don't like this green and blue. Doesn't fit with our aesthetic, so we are going to fix that. We're going to select this. Remember that we have a box inside here that we cannot see. But because I don't want to expand and contract, what I can do is click on this small circle here that appears whenever I click on anything. If you click on anything within a variant, and that thing is also inside another variant, you will see this small purple circle here. It's like a target. Select all two matching layers. Yes, it has selected it, and then I'm going to press I on my keyboard for a pixel picker. Let's select this guy. So I'm going to also select this guy because I want it to be in line with what is in the scene. And select these two guys. Also select those two there and also give them a color that is in this scene. This guy, this color. and then select these two and make sure that the other two are selected and give them a color that is in this scene. Let's give them something like that guy. And then when we preview, oh, this is coming together really nicely. We're going to tweak, it's design. We can tweak to our heart's content. Let's try this guy. Yeah, that works. And then we're also going to change the color of our icons. So we're going to break them down, open them up, and go and select something inside that place. Let's go for that very dark brown that is inside here. Great. So yeah. Yep, our icons are looking better. Now we'll press shift and space bar on our keyboard again. Sweet. We still have this blue. I think we have that color in here. We're just gonna do it like we did again. Click, click, click the fill, click, and then here, click, click. We actually don't need this select both of them. We don't need this stroke here. So we have a very cool color now. Right. Sweet. I don't like the way this curve is working. It's just working on my nerves, so I'm gonna give these two guys a curvature of just 10 so that they are unified. Alright, so let's try one more time. Click, click, sweet. We're gonna come to preview and give it a flow starting point. We're gonna name this test. Good. Alright, this is beautiful. Alright, thank you guys for joining. I hope you learned one or two things. Hit me up in the comments below what you want me to treat next, and if you have any questions, let me know. This is the first in a series of quick fixes, tutorials, and things that I know how to do, and I feel like people should also know, or maybe I could learn ways that they could be done better. I mean, we're all learning, right? So yeah, hit me up in the comments. Thank you for watching.